What's going on, folks? Painless. You all see this. Um, I don't know how long this video is going to be. Maybe kind of long. I don't know. Only you know. But yeah, I saw the video of the Asian gentleman. And see, many of y'all know I lived in Hawaii for an extended period of time. And one thing I learned living in Hawaii is I was able to distinguish Asian groups. There's one thing I picked up is how to distinguish Asian groups, Koreans, Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese, just to name some, and even their language, like the intonations in their respective language. Like I can tell Korean. I can tell Japanese is very distinct in terms of the other groups. Chinese, even the bases in their voices, Vietnamese and so on and so on. And Filipino is another Asian group. They tend to be more darker and Filipino, Tagalog, Sambolino, what's another? Ilocano, different, even amongst Filipinos, there's different dialects within Filipinos, and it's very distinct. But this gentleman, he appears to be maybe, he looks Chinese to me. But it's neither here nor there. I just wanted to what I mean is I'm going to share some why these things happen amongst Asian groups. Whereas many black folks think that just because it's not white that it is for them or for us as black folks. And I've been saying this ad nauseum. I've been saying this so much that just because these people, I go so far as to say that some of the most racist encounters that I've may not have personally encountered, but have been in the vicinity of, are people who aren't white. Yeah. I've talked about Hawaii. Hawaii, there's a lot of racist island people. What one would have racist undertones. You need to be, it's changing now. But you have people who don't even leave their side of the island. And I've talked about imagery and owning imagery. So what you have is people who've never been to the mainland, who've never left this, who don't really leave their side of the island, and who's always on TV. I've said this, that who's always in people's mouths, that's black folks. So a lot of people get the luxury of seeing black people and never even meeting a black person, but already have a preconceived notion based off media-induced stereotypes, and a lot of the times on our own. Whereas those people, no one really focuses on them. So a lot of black folks, everybody knows about you, but you don't know much about anybody else. I was reading an article years ago when I was doing a lot of content, and they were talking about Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. And it was something along the lines of, we know black anatomy because we're practically opening them up every night, every weekend. We know black anatomy. And I thought that was very sad, but very telling. Basically, blacks slaughter each other, while whites slaughter each other, Asians slaughter each other. Black folks take it to a new level. I'm not even going to get into that, but it was saying to me that, well, you all take each other out so much. I mean, if we really wanted to take some of your, what was being said was that there aren't any black doctors working on Asians. There aren't any black doctors working on white people to an epidemic proportion in terms of the violence that we impose on one each other. When in actuality, the Asian, the East Indian, they know they could duplicate our whole makeup if they wanted to, because they have so much access to our bodies via violence, via not taking care of yourself. But you know what? I'm going to go back and get back to this Asian gentleman. And it's part of what a lot of this I blame on us. Well, Painless, how can you say that, man? This man said this is a no, you know what, fly zone. And if I find the video, I'll put it in the description box if you don't know what I'm talking about. In fact, I will put it in the description box. But see, this is Arizona, and I've always heard Arizona is like the Mississippi or the Alabama of the West Coast. Very racist, red, Republican, whatever have you, things like that. But see, it's interesting, you'll find these Asians out there, especially the Chinese, that are remnants and descendants of the railroad workers of the much of California. And, many people migrate to various portions of that part of the country, the Southwest. And Arizona's, I've flown through Arizona, Phoenix at like 12:30 at night. But far as, I've driven through Arizona from California. But yeah, that's what I hear. But this is something that isn't new. This is something that isn't new. We know that many minority groups aspire and love pats on the head from the dominant society in terms of men to denigrate and look down on black people or other groups. This isn't nothing new. But like I said, why does this Asian man think that he can do this? Well, I've said it's all economics, folks. It's pure economics. It's the reason why these guys like this are selling goods in your so-called communities. And I watched this kind of a tidbit of a video, and had this young guy say, I don't think I've heard anyone's racist say I'm racist. And you probably won't. But I've heard racists be explained to me various ways. It means you're just proud of your race, the TIST. Race is scientist, chemist. Means you're promoting whatever that is. But yeah, it's economics, folks. This is why this Asian man can feel like he can hunker down and play watchdog. And I've heard Scottsdale is very racist too. That part of outside of Phoenix, very racist, an enclave of Western. It's a different type. That old Western money. How I've talked about the plutocrats in the South. Just flip that over to Arizona. with a diversified, isolated feeling. I mean, I don't know. I still don't know why black folks still want to live in Los Angeles. I don't get that. I mean, you do what you can do, but Los Angeles, let the Hispanics have Los Angeles, and that's what's been going on. But if you're still in Los Angeles, South Central Los Angeles, you that's a whole nother video. But yeah, these same type of men operate nail salons. The Vietnamese got that on lock. Hair supply stores, your Asian food stores. And I think it's safe to say that, you may have some, but many feel threatened. And I've said this, the threat of common everyday violence is the black male. And it's perpetuated by the media. And he went on, I read an interview when he was arrested and he was fired from his position. He was arrested for disorderly conduct. And he said, I feel I'm looking out for my neighborhood. And you can hear him in the video. He said there's a lot of stuff that's been going on. And guess who a lot of stuff that has been going on, guess who the face of it in America is? Yes, the American male Negro. Well, Painless, it sounds like you trying to give him a pass. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying where this stuff potentially comes from. This type of mentality comes from. Well, what about the economic aspect, Painless? Well, money talks. People will do, the mafia did business with black people, certain gangsters. But you can never be a member of La Cosa Nostra or the mafia because you weren't of Italian, Sicilian lineage. But we'll do business with you. And this is the same, in essence, the same thing with members of the dominant society, Caucasian males, who control a lot of things. He will do business with Asians before he'll probably, because Asians understand economics. Almost slipped. Asians understand economics. Asians understand I don't need to be at the polls to make a change. Asians aren't on here booty clapping for a 76-year-old Caucasian man who had ample time to right the wrongs that you now think he's going to do once he's elected. Asians aren't up here propping up a woman who's clearly identified as something else, but will occasionally identify as this for its convenience. Asians aren't doing that. None. None of the groups. And if you ever notice that, you don't hear Asians. Yeah, you had that guy that ran for president and said that everybody should get, $10,000 a year or something. I mean, but for the most part, Asians don't care about voting. But yeah, there's a Chinatown in every major city in America. They have economics. That's why they are really can kind of get in and get the things that they need because they're not thinking vote, vote, vote. They can care who is in public office. Their money talks. However, you think you can vote yourself out of a situation in which you've never voted to get in. And that's not really respectable, you know. But yeah, this guy, I mean, it's no surprise to me. I've seen people like this in Hawaii. Um, and I've said Asians, they're very nationalistic. They're very Asian centered, very national. Did I say nationally? Like Japanese are some of the most secular, nationalistic people on the planet. It's Japanese or bust. Even the Chinese. And we see these Chinese going over into Africa and you know, and these African chiefs or elders are making these Chinese businessmen honorary chiefs. Yet you have in parts of China where there are a high population of Africans saying you can't come in here because you're spreading certain diseases and viruses. This is what you have going on, folks. So I'm not surprised by this. Let's skip the whole idea that just because they're not white, they're not racist or prejudiced or hold ill feelings towards black folks. That's ridiculous. And that's where a lot of black folks mess up. You think, you know, Jose is down with you. No, the hell he's not. I'm keen about anybody I deal with. It's human beings. Because I don't trust a lot of you motherfuckers. Why? But I'm very aware of cultural, ethnic relations in terms of dealing with people who aren't white. And see, what happens is many try to gravitate to, well, hey, you know, I've had conversations with people, with guys who aren't white, who aren't black, but other minority, and they'll talk about white people and stuff like that. But it's from their own gain. You know what I'm saying? It's their own gain. And while we may have some similar opinions, because I don't run around talking like that, but I'm just speaking off past the past, just conversations, even back into my 20s. That's not an ally because we hold the same opinions about a certain dominant member of society in terms of Caucasians. No. I just take mental notes and keep it moving. And I've talked about this till I'm blue in the face about fake coalitions. And if this isn't a succinct example of a fake coalition in which you have this Asian man who, without blinking, says, you know, this is a no NIGGR zone. And what you doing here? As if he is a Caucasian. And black folks get appalled. They can't believe that. And I've said, you know, I mean, I don't, you know, when people come over to America, they don't aspire to be black. They're not trying to get your status. You're at the bottom. Why? I don't know why you're at the bottom. You know, and I said this whole idea of we're not all the same. We look the same, but if we were all the same, we would have been done this. If we're so great, we would have been got this together amongst us. But we're different. I've said you can have 5 families live on a block and all have different experiences because we don't have no cultural norms or protocols. Yeah, we go to church, we eat chicken and greens. So, yeah, what the hell does that do? So, I mean, we're splintered. We're a splintered group of people. And we're always going to be like that. Black folks in America will never have a collective agenda. It's just not going to happen. Now, what you can do, well, Painless, you gloom and doom. Well, what you can do is, as a black person, as what they call descendants of slaves, you can capitalize on your own. Because if there's a black, it would have happened already. But some groups just don't operate like that. White people are not homogenous like that. There's no white agenda. There's no Asian. Why do black folks think they have? See, and that's the narcissism aspect. Like, we got to make it about us. A black agenda for what? Now, you don't need, opening a store isn't revolutionary. We make things so chaotic and extra. Owning black businesses isn't, in your so-called community, isn't revolutionary. It's like, that's what the fuck you're supposed to do. So we need to start making, well, not me. When I hear some of these guys and girls on here, these hoteps, it's nothing that everything that we say we need to do is what this shit should be done. It's as many of us, I mean, look, our experience, like I said, our experiences are different. This is why there's no agenda. It will never be an agenda. No. You're going to have to get this on your own. You're going to have to deal, not necessarily on your own. Maybe have 20 to 50 black folks with similar interests and goals and achievements in y'all's own little agenda. But the idea that you're going to have 35 million Negroes with one agenda, that's ridiculous. That is immature. That is, that's very childlike. Very naive thinking. And that's the problem. That is the problem. To think that if you believe that, you in and of itself you don't really have a realistic outlook on life. To think that you're going to get 35 million people, at the least. I think we're probably in the 40s. No, that ain't happening. And it's not supposed to happen. Small groups, understood. Collective, an agenda, but 35 million, 42 million? You know what? I'm not even playing with you fools today. You know what? Not doing it. But yeah, don't be surprised. That didn't surprise me. That Asian guy. That didn't surprise me at all. You could tell he's emulating, even when he comes up and walks to the guys. And he tries to sound like a white guy from Arizona. Well, they up here film me, being extra. I didn't like the choice words that the young man used, but he's a young man. Calling him, yeah, yeah, little baby, baby, I got you. And, he was real scared to me. He was real scared to me. You could hear it in his voice. They were both scary. That's why, a lot of people are so full of shit nowadays. People are so full of shit. Just want, you know what? Painless out.